Welcome, everybody, to the Denver Bronco Roundup. I'm your host, Jody Moncrief, and I'm here with the copy man, Patrick Wiltsie. How are you tonight?
Things are good. Things are good. Nice and hot out here. Sure, it's hot out there.
Nice and hot everywhere, I think. So we're back for segment 2 of this 4-part series. We're going to break down the defense today. Position battles, who kind of lead up to who we think eventually is going to make our final 53, as training camp is only, rookies reported today and veterans report in 8 days. So, football is right around the corner and it's pretty much officially here. So, love this time of the year.
It is. It's a good time. Almost there. The anticipation is.
Ernie Mays comes in. Go Broncos country only. Think Broncos big, not 31 teams small. Hello, Broncos Roundup. Hello, Jody. Hello, Patrick. Hello, Ernie. Hope everything's well with you tonight. Paul says it's 90s in San Diego, so it's about the same here. So here in Northwest Colorado,
Yep.
So hot and dry, and just praying the fires get put out. That's kind of where I'm at right now. So
No doubt. Not too many fires out here. If there's a fire, it's not going to go that much far if it is, water surrounded,
Right.
so it's not too bad.
Yep. So let's dive right in. Let's start on the defensive side, and we'll just start on the defensive line. There's some camp battles here that I think are one to watch.
There it is.
We'll just go with what he's got listed here. We can start at cornerback. We'll just work from
Sure.
back or
Oh,
let's
okay.
start at safety. We'll work back to the front of the line.
Okay.
I think your starting safeties, they're pretty well set with Hufanga and Brandon Jones coming back. I think those are pretty much locks.
Right.
They lost PJ Locke to the Cowboys. I think that's a little bit bigger loss than what people think. I think he played well in the absence of Brandon Jones last year. He played well in the Buffalo game, picked Josh Allen off.
Sure.
That's going to be the battle. Who wins this number 3? Who wins this number 3 safety spot, and how many safeties do they keep? In my 53, I had 4, so that's an odd man out. So you got Devon Keys, who is a core special teams guy. He was an All-Pro 1 last year. He, I think, has the inside track. I think Denver wants to give him a shot at winning this number 3 spot, but it's a battle. Then you have JL Skinner, who's been here a while. I mean, he fought off competition last year to make the 53. People didn't think he was going to make the 53, and he was able to make the 53. So we'll see how he does. And then you got rookie Miles Scott, who came in, ball hawk from Illinois, lots of interceptions there, team captain there for 4 years. So I think this is going to be an interesting battle. And if in my 53, I had Devon Keys and Miles Scott making it. I had JL Skinner on the outside looking in, but it wouldn't surprise me if Denver did go the route of 5 safeties. What's your thoughts?
I could see 4, but I mean, I don't know. 5 would just to be a little safe. I could see taking 5, but if 5, I don't know if it's Skinner. Who was I watching? I was looking here. Was it? I saw somebody, Anderson. Wasn't there an Anderson somewhere?
I'll have to look. I'll get back with you.
I thought Tyson something. I don't remember. But I could see 4 definitely. I don't think they're unless they're feeling froggy, but maybe they could. I could see 4, and if it's 4, I definitely think I think Skinner'd be on the out. Just squeaking in last year, I think he's got to show a lot this year to push out other people.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he might be the one on the outside looking in, and that's kind of hard to hard to say when he's probably the most veteran guy in there battling for that number 3 spot.
Yeah, but I think that's what puts him on that outside looking in is he's had time to show, so they kind of know what they're looking for with him. So they might like something they see, grass being greener,
Right, and I think this might come down to who they think they can sneak to the practice squad as well. Can they sneak one of these guys onto the practice squad? And if they can, that might make their mind up. So I think this is an underrated, low-key battle that's going to be important because we seen last year when Brandon Jones went down, they needed everything PJ Locke brought to the team. So,
right.
Let me hit a couple more comments. Good from Phil McLaughlin. Good evening, Judge and Mr. Coffee. What competition and training camp are you most interested to watch? I'll let you go first.
I really want to see. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh no, I really want to see kind of the inside linebacker where they're going to run that way. That's more where I'm looking at. If Sanders is finally going to show up and stay healthy, or where they're going to go. That's more where I'm looking.
I think for me, and we'll get to it a little more in depth in a little bit, but I think for me, it's who replaces John Franklin Myers. Does Tyler Odiem, their first draft pick of this year, third rounder, does he take over there? Does their third round pick from last year, Savion Jones, take over? Or do they go fall back on the veteran Malcolm Roach? Or somebody like Malcolm Roach or someone else? I think that is going to be interesting what the rotation looks like there and who emerges and what they're really looking for. Do they want another pass rush guy like John Franklin Myers, or do they want more of a run stuffer in there? I think that's the competition that's going to be interesting for me. And Patrick with 100 starts. Thank you, Patrick. We greatly appreciate that.
Most definitely.
From Michael Ronquillo, good evening, Jody and Patrick. Go Bo Broncos. I agree. I think the ankle's healthy, and I'm ready for a big year from Bo. I hope everyone else is as well.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Let's dive into the next one. I think this is probably going to be one of the most talked about battles in camp, just because of high name guys. Do they trade? Do they trade a starter? What do they do here? I think they've got a little. This is gonna be one for me. You got Riley Moss, who was your cornerback 2 last year. Jaquan McMillan, your starting slot corner, and then you got Jody Barron, who you drafted in the first round last year. Didn't see a ton of snaps on the field. I think only had like 18% of the defensive snaps. Denver's got to find a way. Denver's got to find a way to get him on the field more. And who do they take playing time away to make that happen? Is Jody Barron an outside cornerback? Is he an inside cornerback? Those are questions that are going to be, I think, really interesting to me. So what are your takes on what they do with Jody Barron? Do they just run it back exactly how it was last year? How do you think this plans out?
I think Moss held it down once he kind of got the penalties under wraps a little bit, kind of held those down. I really think he only got a lot of the penalties just because there were so many eyes on him with PS2 locking down the other side. I mean, there's a lot of eyes on Moss, a lot of balls going that way. So I think he showed up. I think he did what he needed to do. I mean, Jaquan, when he was asked to play, you didn't hear his name called out too much. He missed this or he missed that. So, I mean, I think he's solid with it as I don't want to say rotational, but, kind of in and out so that Moss isn't out there every single play. I think Barron's the one that's just he's got to show him. He's got to show that he deserves time over one of the other two. And the only place he's going to do that is, camp and preseason, right? So.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've said for a while, I wish Denver would lock Jaquan McMillan up long term. I think he's the best. He's the best slot cornerback in football. He makes out of the two, and I know if you're not getting balls thrown your way, you're doing your job and that type of thing. But he makes big plays at in big moments. The sack on Patrick Mahomes late in the Kansas City game, the interception in Buffalo that, if he doesn't pick that off and it's a completion, they're in field goal range for a chip shot, easy field goal to win the game. He makes plays when it matters, and if they're not able to sign both of those guys, I would like to see Jaquan McMillan back. That's just a personal preference. And that's not a shot. That's not a shot at Riley Moss at all. I think Riley Moss is a solid number 2 cornerback. I think, just like you said, he had eyes on him, and he was getting bad. He was getting calls that some of them not warranted. It was just they were targeting him, and there's no way else to put that. So,
yeah, no, I could agree with keeping Jaquan. I'd like to see him stick around too. I think Moss, if he has another solid year, I think he could be a number 1 somewhere else that doesn't have a PS2 level on their squad. I think he could.
And I think that's exactly what eventually will happen with Moss. Someone will overpay like they did John Franklin Myers for him, where Denver, if the reports or what you think is true, if Bo Nix gets a big payday, you're not gonna be able to pay everyone. So then it comes down to, do you try to trade one of these guys to get something back or not? I'm kind of under the assumption you're all in and you got to go all in. You can't worry about next year until next year. So
yeah, definitely.
You're going to get comp picks back, and I know it's probably not the same. The only way that I may consider it is if Jody Barron just balls out where you have 110% confidence that you can roll with him outside or something. Glenn Ashley says, boys, it was really interesting watching John Gruden go after the officiating of Moss in his season breakdown. Much like my views, Moss is a star targeted more than other cornerbacks with Surtain not thrown at. And I agree with that. He had some handsy PI calls that were warranted, but there were some that were just bad calls. And there's no way else to put it. They were just bad calls.
Yeah. Would they have been noticed if PS2 no one was looking that way? Would they have even been noticed? In another situation? I don't think he did anything nobody else has done or is doing currently. So.
Well, I think where he started getting targeted, he had some really bad holding calls that were just straight PI, and then the ticky-tack little ones he didn't get away with like a Pat Surtain would get away with because he's so clean on everything else. So I think that might be the most interesting one. Does one get traded? Who starts? Does Jody Barron, if it's like it was last year, does he get disgruntled? Does he become a locker room problem? I think I don't expect that, but there are questions there, and I think that is one. And if Jody Barron doesn't play a lot this coming year, is that a bust of a first-round pick?
I don't think it's a bust. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I don't think it's a bust.
I agree. There's a lot of questions around that position, and I think that is one. Yeah. I think that's the most interesting, probably. If not the D line, that's the second most interesting one going into camp. Clayton chiming in says, "Hey guys, hey Clayton, hope it's all well with you." We can go to the next one. I think this next one is is interesting for a variety of reasons. One, they didn't really address it at all this offseason. They brought back their own guys. They drafted one linebacker in the draft. If the plans were to move Jonah Ellis to middle linebacker, I think the Jonathan Cooper situation put a kibosh to that. So I think this is an interesting one. Does another undrafted what's the streak now, like 20 years or something of an undrafted rookie making the 53?
Crazy.
Does Terry York break through and make the 53? How fast does Red Murdoch push for legit playing time? When Greenlaw was healthy, I mean, there was pretty much kind of a three-man rotation. There was Sanders, Dre Greenlaw, and Justin Sternad. There was a three-man rotation there. Does he push to get into that? And then a wild card. We haven't really seen him on the field for 2 years. What is Drew Sanders? What does Drew Sanders bring to the table? Will they play him inside? Will they play him outside? Will he even make the 53? What do they do with him? I think there's a lot of – if I was going to say the one question mark on this roster besides starters is that one right there, depth. Because if one of your guys goes down, I mean, your backups are Red Murdoch, a 7th-round pick, and Terry and York, a undrafted rookie. And Drew Sanders, who hasn't played in over 2 years now. So for me, what are your thoughts on this? I think this is probably the most interesting one of what happens if someone goes down.
Yeah. If somebody goes down, it could get to be a real mess. I mean, I'd love to see Red Murdoch make it just because, I mean, he's about as close as you can get to undrafted as you can, right? I mean, York, is undrafted, but I mean, there's not much. Is he Mr. Irrelevant or is he close? He's just our 7.
He was Mr. Irrelevant, Red Murdoch.
Yeah, so I'd love to see. I mean, who doesn't love that kind of story, right? Nobody expects somebody like that to jump in there and start. I mean, and what a chip on your shoulder. I think he'd be. I want to see him do really well, but yeah, Sanders scares me because you haven't seen, I don't think, enough of anything. Like you said, 2 years. I didn't realize it was 2 years. I remember last year, I didn't realize it was 2.
Yeah, I agree.
That one scares me.
I'm not really sure what to think of Drew Sanders just because it's unknown. I mean, he had a lot of talent and we expected big things, but this is his second big injury he's coming off of since he's been drafted. So,
how many do they carry? Do you think? You think they carry 4?
I have 4, and I have 4, and I have like a couple wild cards with Drew Sanders maybe making it, but I think Red Murdoch and Terry York probably make the 53. And when I did my 53, I only did guys that were currently on the 91-man roster. This would be a spot that I could easily see them going and picking someone up from another team. Whether he starts on the 53 or not, I could see them elevating him and dropping him down until he hits the 3 games and then make a decision.
Would Red or York would they do special teams?
Yeah, I think both. I think actually all 3: Drew Sanders, Red Murdoch, and Terry York.
Oh, okay.
If they make the 53, they're going to have to be core special teams guys.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay.
And Pearl, our incredible sponsor, comes in and just says a quick hi. Hope all is well with Pearl. Hope Cheyenne Frontier Days went well. Sounded like it was packed there, hot, and lots of people, so that's good.
Yeah, most definitely. I went up there when I still back Colorado. We used to go up there all the time, so it was a lot of fun.
I'll hit a couple comments. Glenn Ashley says, "Players Moss was on were simulating and flopping, or players Moss was on were simulating and flopping. He's super smart with his body position in the air." Yeah, like I said, I think he was targeted. I mean, he had some bad calls, and There's no denying that, but he got called on some stuff that just wasn't PI, that Pat Surtain or another top cornerback would not get called. So Pearl also chimed in, working my butt off at Shine Frontier Days. Hi, y'all. 3 more crazy days. So it sounds like it's going well there. Probably hot, just like it is everywhere else. So Clayton comes in. Man, there's something about Moss, man. Absolutely brings swag in his own way. Absolutely love it. Phil McLaughlin, let's see. McLaughlin is definitely a lock at nickel, or McMillan is definitely a lock at nickel. I agree with that. If the plan last year was for Jade Barron to push McMillan, that lit a fire under him, and he sewed that competition up last year. I think we need to see the same fire again, but like I've said, he's the best slot cornerback in football, and he is one guy I don't want off of this defense for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with this from Phil. If he comes in and says Barron has to get more playing time before we really know what he's going to be, I agree with that. And the only way we're going to know is he has to be on the field. So I hope that they pick a position for him, inside, outside, something, not this hybrid where he might be a safety, he might be inside, he might be outside. Let him hone in on a position and let him get familiar with it. That's my thoughts on Barron. What are your thoughts?
If somebody went down, do you think they'd move him over to safety if somebody went down?
Yeah, I think they would consider it just because of how young they are with the backups behind them. I mean, they don't really have they don't have anyone that's started a game there. So I think if Brandon Jones was to go down or Hufong or somebody like that, they would consider that. I think that would be definitely in the works.
Cool. Maybe a plan B.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Right.
Like we're all in this year, and Denver's been the healthiest team over the last 3 years, and hopefully that trend continues. Glenn Ashley comes in and says Murdoch not only makes the team, but if one goes down, his tackling is better than what we have. Makes and doesn't miss tackles. By season's end, he will be number 2. I wish we had a veteran coverage guy to complete the room. And that's what I've said. I think whoever backs him up is currently not on this roster. I think they will go pick someone up, whether that's someone that gets cut from another roster or there are free agent linebackers out there that they could go get. I think that is going to be the one position that they will look at. So,
yeah. Nobody from a practice squad or something.
Yeah, before anyone hits practice squad or whatever, as they start getting released and cut down day for 53, I think Denver will definitely look at other guys.
Okay.
There is one free agent that's sitting out there. I don't know what his price tag is or anything, but he's longer in the tooth, but he's a tackling machine and he's a good inside linebacker. That's Bobby Wagner. Is that somebody they consider? So I think that there are questions there. That's the one spot that I don't think your full depth chart is currently on the 53. So
I don't know. I kind of think if they were going to pick up Wagner, they'd have done it by now. It makes you wonder if his price is a little high or what the thought is behind that. I think if they were going to go that way, they'd have done that, so that there was a plan. But
yep, I agree with that, and I think now's a good time. We'll hit our mid show break and plug our sponsor, Miss Pearl.
Excellent.
She's at Frontier Days till the 25th. So go down there and see her. There's a lot of fun stuff there. I've been there many times between the rodeo, concerts, the fair, different stuff, tons of vendors. Whether it's just you or the kids or whoever, it's a fun time down there. She's got a lot of Southwest jewelry down there, 31 years in the business. So if you get a chance and you can make it out there, go support Miss Pearl, as she supports us a lot for this show and stuff. So
most definitely.
We'll keep going. Outside linebacker. This is probably another big question mark. I'm not going to dive that much into Jonathan Cooper's situation. I just don't see that there's a way that he's not suspended or a way that he's available week 1. So who starts in his place? Is that Jonah Ellis? Is that Q Robinson, who didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but was getting more and more as the season, down the stretch and was making plays? Or there's a wild card like DeAndre Tillman, who just a steady, good rotational guy. Does he get himself into the mix? What are your thoughts, and who do you think eventually wins this starting spot if Cooper is not available week 1?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going to be there week 1, whether it's just them staying hands off or, whatever the reasoning. That's not for me to decide. But I don't know. I really honestly think I think Q's going to get a good shot to jump up in there, and Ellis is going to be the backup plan, an extra, fill in, whatever you want to call it, because we still got Benito, right? That's his side, right?
Yeah,
outside.
Yeah, Benito's a lock as a starter on this team, but who starts next to him that's a massive wild card. And
yeah, I think Q. I think it's gonna be Q.
And I agree with that. I've said that for a while. I think Q Robinson, what I seen down the stretch last year, I think Q Robinson will be the starter. And I've said if he plays a full 17 and is in getting legit playing time, he will be a double-digit sack guy. And that's to take nothing away from Jonah Ellis. I think Jonah Ellis is a key piece of this defense, and he's going to get a lot of snaps, and he's going to be in the rotation. So this is one that doesn't really matter who starts over there because they're both going to play, and they're both going to play a lot. So,
yeah.
And then the only other wild card, I don't know how people feel about this. Do they bring in a outside veteran? We keep hearing the name Von Miller, or Von Miller is the guy that's got, some people's hearts here still. So I think that's probably not going to happen unless something drastic happens with one of these 3 guys. But you never know. So do you think there's a chance Von Miller is on Denver's opening day 53?
Opening day, only if somebody goes down, only if somebody gets hurt and they snap, oh my God, we need somebody, and they go. I don't see, he must be asking too much, or they just don't think he's got whatever. They believe in these kids, these younger guys, kids. Sorry, I hate to say kids. They're not kids. They're full grown men. But I don't see him being here. I'd love to see it because like I've said before, I've got 4 jerseys hanging up in my closet, but if he's not, we had the time he was here, and I don't think he would play enough to warrant big money. If he comes in at a minimum, okay, but he must not be wanting to come in a minimum because I think that's another one they would have pulled the trigger on if that's the case. So
yeah, I agree with that. When Sean Payton first was hired here, he made a statement right away and got rid of core guys that were leaders and good players here. Justin Simmons is probably the one that comes to my mind first off. He was the leader of that defense. He was all-pro too, and they got rid of him. He wanted to change this culture around locker room, everything. And I don't know that Sean Payton can get past the past of Von Miller. Whether Von Miller says he's changed and can be a mentor and take a back seat, does Sean Payton really believe that? I don't see that. So I think
we didn't see much evidence of that. I mean, we didn't see that really in Buffalo. We didn't see that at least that they showed from Washington. So
I agree. Keith chimes in. Glad to see Keith. Hopefully the moving's going well, and hopefully we have you back in a few weeks. He says, "Give me Tillman. I like what he brings compared to Ellis or the unknown in Q. That said, it could switch to Q by the end of the year." I would say he's probably third right now out of the three, but it wouldn't surprise me. And like I said, it doesn't really matter who is starting there because they're all going to play. They're all going to get a lot of playing time. So.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to practice squad anybody because I don't think any of those guys are going to make it without somebody snagging them somewhere.
And if you go off of what Vance Joseph said, look, Jonah Ellis was in on the final play when Drake May had that bootleg and ran up the sidelines. It wasn't Jonathan Cooper. It wasn't Nick Bonito. So I don't know if they have just a serious, legit rotation and who's in or how that works, but they're not afraid to if the starter's not in when it's not his turn, they're not afraid to just leave who's out there. So, and that play really comes to mind why Bonito was on the sidelines and Jonah Ellis on the field for that one play. So,
yeah, it's a long season. Maybe Nick was just tired, man.
Glenn Ashley chimes in, and I agree with this. Cooper will miss games, and it's a chance for both guys to prove themselves. Cooper will miss at least 6 on the current trend. Yes, for me, 6 minimum. The way it's trending now, and just a little into it, it sounded like they pushed the court case might get pushed back now into 27. So I almost can see where he just gets put on the exempt list and he's not even here.
Yeah, I could see that. There's not too many people come back from that list.
Right. Glenn also says whoever is on Cooper's side has to be automatic double-digit sacks with the amount of double teams Bonito and Allen sees. I agree with that, and that's why I've said for a while I think Q Robinson has, out of the two, him and Jonah Ellis, he's got the more elite burst, and just what I've seen down the stretch, that was a bold prediction I made that he'll have double-digit sacks if he's truly in the rotation this year. So,
yeah, I could see that. I mean, Bonito still had a beautiful season, and he was seeing doubles last year, so they still left him out here and there. So
I will say one other thing that people overlook with Nick Bonito, that hand was in a cast pretty much like halfway through the season until the end of the season, and that I think really played a factor in him being able to bull rush and use that hand to get off a guy. So it made it where almost teams didn't have to double team him because he was kind of limited. If he didn't beat you right off of the get-go, his moves were kind of limited because of the hand. So that is one kind of under the radar thing. When camp starts, will his hand still be in a cast? Will it be out of a cast? What happens there? I think that will be interesting for sure.
Definitely. I forgot about that hand. Yeah. They didn't make a big deal out of it. You didn't see too much about that on TV or anything, so
that's just something I've heard from listening to some insiders and some different things, just some little things that they picked up on. Keith chimes in. Tillman had 4 sacks, 3 pass defended, and 2 INTs. Yeah, I think for where they were able to. I mean, he was undrafted. He came over from whatever, the UFL, I think. I mean, he's been a great pickup for them. Great rotational guy. He's probably out of the three, I would say he's probably the best against the run just because he's a little bit bigger, size-wise and that type of thing. Something as we dive into the last of our depth chart battles on this team, something that I think is going to play a major factor. I think Denver, if it was the one weakness that they had last year, it was, stopping the run. We've seen, Jonathan Taylor early in the season. We've seen Josh Jacobs. And then we've seen Cooks go off on this team. So I think them replacing John Franklin Myers, I think they're looking for somebody that can really help stop the run and, solidify that. And if that means a few less sacks, I think Denver will gladly take that if it's a lot less rushing yards from certain guys. So, and Keith says he's a special teams player. And I think, and that is something that is we don't talk about a lot, but it is very overlooked. If these guys don't become, you may not even be the number 3 in the depth chart, but you may be number 1 when it comes to special teams. And I think special teams, if stuff is close, that is what puts you over the edge to make this 53 is special teams. So,
yeah, still a lot of plays a game. I mean, it's not but you screw one of those up, it can really show up. It can really hurt. So yeah, they're very important.
Yeah, and you can just go back to, I mean, I know the coaches wanted to take blame for it and stuff, but you can go back and look at the Chiefs game from 2 years ago when they missed an easy assignment blocking down, blocked field goal. Denver loses to Kansas City when they really, they outplayed them the whole game, should have won that game. So
very true, yeah.
And the last battle here, I think that, like I said, this is the most interesting one. Who starts here? You've got two guys that are really unknown, the last 2 draft picks. You've got Jordan Jackson, who's bounced up and down from practice squad. You've got Matt Hennessy, who made this team as a rookie, got hurt last year, didn't play at all last year. And then Awazarike, who, after the year off from the gambling suspension, right. I thought he played really well. And he might be one that's in the mix for that other position out there. I don't really know how they're leaning. I think that this is going to be a massive wild card for me. You got Tyler Odom, the 3rd round pick from this year. You got Savion Jones, the 3rd round pick from last year, who never really seen the field. I think he dressed for like 2 games. So if I had to guess, it's between those 2 guys and a guy that's not on here that I think they will probably just keep in the rotation. He may, just like last year, he may end up with more snaps than the starter. That's Malcolm Roach. They really like him. They signed him, probably midway through the season last year. He's a Sean Payton guy from New Orleans. They really like what he offers and stuff. So who do you think out of these guys and Malcolm Roach, who eventually wins this starting job and replaces John Franklin Myers?
Honestly, I think Awazarike's got the best chance because he's got, some time in. And like you said, I think he's eager to prove that year off gambling was just for that. It wasn't for anything other, any other reasons that he screwed up. And I think he wants to pay back, get back in and make himself obviously look good. I mean, he's got he's probably looking for another is this a contract year or?
No, yeah, it might be, if not next year. So, I mean, he's coming up on it. So
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see Jones prove that he was worth the 3rd round pick. I mean, I don't think it was his own fault last year. I think there was just you had Myers in there that was locking it down and playing well. So, I mean, I just don't think it gave much of a reason to have anybody else in there, but yeah, I'd like to see. I think Awazarike is going to get in there to start, but then I think it's going to be between Jones and I'm not sure. Tyler. I'm not sure how to say that last name. I'm still getting used to that one. I think it's going to be between those two guys. I think that's the one to watch for me is which one of those two guys, Jones or Onyedem.
Yep.
See, I want to see which one of those two. They're about the same age, right? So it's kind of interesting to see who can step in there and go. Jones should know more of the speed of the game at the pro level, right?
Right.
So, I think it'll be fun. I think you're right. I think that is good to watch. I may change my answer from before.
If I had to guess, I think I would say Tyler Odiedem probably wins this starting spot. But we need to see what Savion Jones is. I mean, he literally, I think, just 2 games last year, and we seen maybe a handful of snaps. That was it. He basically redshirted last year. He's the one guy we need to see what he can do. We know what a Razawike is. He can play inside. He can play outside. He's a good rotational guy. Same with Roach. He's a good inside-outside guy. So, and then the darling so far, and you can take this with a grain of salt because Lucas Kroll was the same way last year, has been Matt Henningsen. He sounds like all reports he's 100% healthy. He's looked good in OTAs. So this is going to be interesting. How many guys do they eventually try to keep on this 53 is going to be really interesting to me.
I just want to hear some of those national guys try to say Onyedem and that. I'd love to see him make it just to hear them butcher his name the entire season,
Right.
It's always good.
Hit a few comments. Glenn says, look for Odiedem to get more sacks than anticipated up the middle too. This is why he was coveted. His game suited to the pro style and not used to these factors in college. And he's not used to these factors in college. Yeah, I can see that. And whoever's playing opposite of Zach Allen, I mean, you're probably going to be singled. So that's where you need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, see what kind of move he's got. First move, get past somebody, right? So.
Right. Keith comes in and says, "Wow, Matt Henningsen is still on the roster. He's got to be the odd man out." I don't know. Like I said, sounds like he's getting rave reviews from OTAs and different things. So you never know. I mean, I think he was a 6th-round pick 2 or 3 years ago. So, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do with him. Keith also says Sean Payton loves him some Jordan Jackson. He was upset that he didn't get in versus Buffalo. Yeah, that's another Sean Payton guy. Interesting. They really didn't address this. I mean, they drafted Tyler Odiedem, but that was it. They didn't really address it. So I think they're happy with what they have in-house. And so that leads me to have a little more faith in Savion Jones and some of these other guys that we haven't seen on the field a lot yet. So Glidden says Q was set by design to learn the system out of Alabama. It was the reason he was taken. Awazarike will show out. He was dynamic when he played in the rotation. Lots of upside in this locker room. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right,
and I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if Odiedem or Razawike is the starter week 1. I would not be surprised by that at all. So, but again, I think that's going to be one. Whoever starts there, I don't think it's going to matter. You're going to see a lot of rotations between Roach and Razawike and Odiedem and Jones. You're going to see rotation there. So, and then Phil comes in with a question. I'll let you answer this. Pick one player on DNO that could be the Broncos Rookie of the Year.
If he makes it in there or whatnot, I could see Red Murdoch defense wise, and then offense. If Jolie gets in there, I think Jolie could get in there.
For me, I think on offense, this is probably the easy one, but I think Jonah Coleman, whether he starts off as RB2 or 3, he will, I think, surpass RJ Harvey pretty quickly, and I think he will be pushing J.K. Dobbins for snaps. So I would say him on offense. And on defense, I'll go with probably I'll go with Red Murdoch. I think Red Murdoch, he's going to push for playing time at middle linebacker. Like Glenn said, he's a tackling machine, doesn't miss tackles, and he's probably better in coverage than both of those guys. So I would say those two guys for sure.
Yeah, cool.
Shout out to Phil. Thanks for the stars and the support. It's all greatly appreciated. Glenn says offensive Down Bentley and defense OD in them. And I could see that. I've said Down Bentley is probably the most out of him and Jolie. He's the most complete complete tight end. He can block, and he's underrated when it comes to route running. So I definitely could see that. That was kind of what we had for this defensive side. Next week we're gonna we might even do it Saturday. We're gonna dive in, and everyone's gonna pick their 53. Pick who we think's gonna make the 53 on O, and then who we think's gonna make the 53 on D, and so submit our final 53 with guys that are currently just on this roster. I'm sure that they'll probably pick someone up, one or two guys that's currently not on this roster. We're just going off of guys that are currently on this roster. But I think there's some interesting battles. Not a lot of starting battles, but a couple of who's going to be number 3, who's going to be number 4 battles that are under radar. That are going to make or break this team. So I'm really looking forward to it. Training camp starts in 8 days. Veterans report. The first week is going to be the one that they hit the hardest. I think they have 7 or 8 days in a row, something like that, of camp, no breaks. That's going to be one to see how many of those does Bo do, how hard do they push him, that type of thing. When
did they start with pads? Do they start pads right away? I don't remember the way it's changed up the last few years.
And I'll have to look. Because it's all changed with the new player association and all that. So, yeah. But I know that little 6-7 days in a row, that's going to be one for me. If Bo can go out there and prove if he participates in all of them, or 4 of 6, 5 of 6, and he's the ankle's ready to go. But if he's, goes hard 1 and then's out 2 or 3, then that might throw some red flags up. So that's one thing. That's one thing to watch for in this camp that I'm looking forward to.
And how much of that is that they hold him back? Is that, do you think they're gonna ease him into it, or you think they're just gonna say go till you can't go? Or how do you think they're gonna handle him with that? You think they're gonna let him push himself, or they're gonna hold him back just to make sure?
They're gonna hold him back because you don't win the Super Bowl in the first 2 or 3 days of training camp, so there's no point in pushing him hard. I just want to see. I just want to see after a good training, a good 1 day. Is he back out the next day, or is it give him 2 or 3 days off because the ankles, the ankles flared up or is a little sore? That's what I don't want to see. So, some other news just before training camp. Like I said, rookies reported today. So. I'm excited. That means football's right around the corner. So,
yes.
And then I don't know if anyone else seen, but they are bringing Michael Wilhoit back, the linebacker coach that got arrested in the airport for the altercation with the officer. All charges were dropped, and he was cleared of any wrongdoing, it sounds like. So Denver has brought him back. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, most definitely. You heard good things before he got all that stuff happening. So, I mean, it'd be nice to see him be able to jump in and make a difference.
So this says Broncos put pads on July 31st. The NFL mandates a 3-day acclimation period after veterans report. So like the 4th day, they'll put pads on.
That's more when I really start kind of paying attention, because, I mean, almost anybody can do well in T-shirt and shorts, right? So
Glenn comes in and says Bentley is to the tight end room, what Pat Bryan is to the wide receiver room. Clean hands and routes, blocks well, good game, speed without being super quick. Yeah, I think that is going to be one that's going to be an underrated, draft pick for where they got him. I mean, second to last pick in the draft. So I think he is going to be one that I think is going to make Adam Troutman expendable very quickly, in my opinion.
I hope so. I mean, I still don't. I mean, other than he's a big Peyton guy, but I still don't see why Troutman's as well compensated as he is. But
yep. So that's all we had for tonight's show. Just wanted to thank everyone in the chat for chiming in. It was a good show. Thanks everyone for the stars, Phil and Michael. Very much appreciated. Thank you to Pearl for everything that she does for the show. Hopefully she has a good rest of the week down there at Shine Frontier Days. Thanks to Trevor in the background for helping with comments and stuff. And hopefully Keith is back in a few weeks. I'd like to get him back on screen talking football as training camp starts. I know he's a little bummed that he was unable to get tickets this year. Sounded like they sold out immediately, like within about the first half hour. They were gone. So
I had a buddy in line waiting and didn't get to him.
So yeah, the training camp or the facility's complete down there, and it looks like it turned out amazing. So Denver's in a good position, and I'm excited for what this year can bring. They are all in, and they've made the moves to put themselves in a position where it's Super Bowl for bust, in my opinion. So,
I agree.
Final thoughts from you, Patrick?
I definitely think they're in the, like you said, the win now kind of mode, and they have a lot of belief in their running it back as much as they did with everybody. I mean, there's only the few things we've talked about here and there about, like you said, number 3's coming in, backups, whatever, because they obviously believe really well in it. So it's exciting to see another burst of sustained success like we had here in Denver before the last few years, before we got Bo, right?
Yep, the Hackett Russell Wilson era was not a good one here in Denver. So
yeah, nope, definitely not. I agree. So I'm excited to see.
Yep, me too. And with that being said, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. And if you get a chance, like, share, subscribe. Denver Bronco Roundup. We're on Facebook, YouTube. Either place is greatly appreciated wherever you watch. Share with as many people as you can. And we'll be back Saturday to break down what guys we think make the 53 on the offensive side of the football. So until Saturday, thanks everyone, and hope everyone has a good night, and go Broncos.
See you.